Yeah, I'm stoked that we're finally doing this.
Me too.
I know.
Yeah, thanks for understanding the schedule part.
Oh yeah, it's totally fine. Because the last time I think we talked about it was when we ran into each other at Zora. It's been a little minute.
Don't recall who. It might have been the Pull String show.
It was. Yeah. It was the Pull String show,
which was also a good show.
Phenomenal.
That was the marriage proposal. You were there for that,
yep,
right?
Yeah.
I love telling that story because it was very wholesome, but it was also like rock and roll.
That.
And then the story ends, if you remember, they did I'm a Believer, but like the Shrek 2 version that's like full rock band, like modern, like 2000s core. Like, yeah. It was very uplifting. I was like, I don't know you guys, but I'm so happy for you. Like, you love each other, you love music, you met in college or whatever. Like,
yeah, that was sick. Like, that was the first time seeing them, first time at Zora. It was like...
Oh, is your first time at Zora?
Yeah.
Isn't that place awesome?
It's super sick. It's crazy how like that little spot is just so tucked in the back.
And it looks like 7th Street entry back there. It's like a sick like rock venue. Yeah, Zaq Baker team was one of the first like Minnesota shows to have a show there.
Oh hell yeah!
Because I remember meeting Eric, the owner, in like December 2023, and then putting together the April show, and it was really fun because it was like, what's Zora Darling? Like, they weren't on Google Maps yet, and so on all the Instagram stuff, I was like, Zora Darling is a new venue in Northeast Minneapolis. Because it didn't show up. Mm-hmm. People thought it was a band.
Oh.
When it was new, they were like, Zora Darling, that sounds cool.
Yeah, that would sound kind of like a sick band name.
I know. It's like, I don't remember where he got Zora Darling from. It's a good name.
Yeah.
But yeah, people thought it was like an emo band or something, like Zora Darling.
This could be a good time.
It's established, yeah.
So what I'm going to do is actually just crack my drink to start, and then I'll do the intro, bring you in, and
sick.
Yada yada from there.
Cool.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. Very stoked on this episode, sitting down with... we've been interacting homies, I feel like, for a few years now, at least since I think I sat down with Tommy the first time. Shout out Tommy. Sitting down with Zaq Baker. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm stoked we're doing this.
Yeah, made it happen.
Yeah, the amount of times that we run into each other at shows, I'm like, we should do this thing.
It's probably every time we've run into each other, because it's a classic, like, when are we going to have the podcast?
Yeah.
You know? And Beers with Bands Fest, that was fun.
Yep. Thank you for playing that. Like, that was a great time. Still wild that I was able to get... I was talking to a friend, and I'm like, oh yeah, I had Beers with Bands Fest last year. I had 14 bands, and they're like, you had 14 fucking bands? And I'm like, yeah, like, because we used to book shows together back in Iowa City, and like, we couldn't... Back then, little me would never imagine putting that many 14 people together.
It was like, I remember seeing Portside at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was pretty early. Or did it start at like 1 p.m. or something?
Yeah, it started at like 1 or 1:30.
14 is just like, you think about all the emails and DMs you sent. That's like even a 3-band bill, you're like, I spent all month emailing.
Yeah.
So I don't envy how much like clerical work you're probably...
The crazy part is this, it should be announced by the time this episode's out. This year's Beers with Bands Fest is only going to be 6 bands, and I felt like I've sent more emails trying to get things solidified with 6 bands than it was with 14.
And then you're like, how did I do it then?
Yeah.
But I guess you just did somehow.
Yeah, I think I just blacked out for that whole entire period.
It's entirely possible. Yeah. Your brain is like, I don't want to think about emails, so I'm just not going to, honestly.
But for people that are unaware of you, I think I have to give you the award of like the most hyphenated person being on the show. Singer-songwriter, pianist, keyboardist, author, I think I saw director.
Director, I don't know. Oh, music director.
Okay.
I do that a little bit, yeah.
And then you're also in 10 bands, which is that's insane.
I've had to qualify, because on the back of the book it says 10 bands. Mm-hmm. Since the book came out, I've been touring so much that I like amicably set aside like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I think it's like 6 or 7 now. But it was, it was 10 for like a couple of years, Some days it feels like 10.
That's wild, because like I know people that can barely handle one band.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who can barely handle them. Yeah. Most hyphenated is crazy.
Yeah.
That's an honor.
Yeah.
Because you said singer-songwriter, and I was like, wait, are they all going to be hyphenated? Because that would be crazy, too. Like, singer-songwriter, you know, and so on and so forth.
But it's just crazy how, like, I think you're someone that's obviously, and we'll get into it all, but you utilize your time wisely with what you have, which, props. Because I just do this, and it's going to still take me, like, 2 weeks to want to start editing.
To sit there and be like, I should really... You're, like, doing something else, just worrying about it.
Yeah, I'm like, I should really get that stuff done, as I'm, like, hitting, like, next on, like, Netflix or something.
Yeah. Back of your mind, like, I should do something.
Yeah. Which, yeah, it's just wild that you have everything like that going on. When you started out kind of doing stuff, because, like, we know a lot of mutual friends in, like, the Twin Cities scene.
Yeah.
Like, how was it you, like, integrating into that and then becoming, like, how do you end up being part of so many different projects?
Honestly, that's a good question. I mean, I think some of it's I'm like a very naturally very social person.
Mm-hmm.
So I genuinely think it's fun to play in bands with people. I try to be a pretty good hang. Like on the road and at rehearsals and stuff. I feel like a good, like, positive attitude, honestly. Goes, like, kind of a long way, and have, like, a very, like, encouraging, affirmative attitude. I feel like people seem to want to keep me around for that reason. Some of it is playing keys. Like, that is a instrument that, when it's essential, it's, like, really essential.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, far fewer people play piano than they do, like, guitar.
True.
But all I've ever done is, like, rock and pop. So I play piano, but I've never been either classical or jazz. It's just like, well, it was Green Day when I was a preteen, and that's how I learned how music works, you know. So some of it probably is the instrument. It's like, oh, we want keys, and you're, like, a pretty fun person who can probably handle it, you know. And then I think probably any freelance person understands this, but there's that snowball where it's like, oh, you play in a bunch of bands? You must be pretty good. Do you want to play on my thing? And then there just sort of is, like, a name out there, I guess.
Yeah.
So referrals. And you know the size of the Twin Cities. Like, it's a big music city, but also... I meet somebody new, and I'm like, let's see if we have any mutuals. And it's like 156 mutuals. And so there's that, too, where it's like, oh, I've seen you around town. You play keys. Do you want to do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, that's the wild thing. And I mentioned that on a few different episodes of this is, like, yeah, the Twin Cities is big, but it's, like, more, like, kind of, like, spread out. But, yeah, the music scene in general here is so close and together where you bump into someone that you know everywhere, which was kind of funny about when we bumped into each other at Zora, because, like, I first got there, I was there to see Display Case from Iowa because they had been on the show.
Who were sick. They were a great show.
That was phenomenal.
It was really
the first
fun.
time seeing that.
Really fun.
But I was like, oh, I don't know anybody here, really. And then I saw David, but, like, we had never really talked before, so I didn't know if he knew who I was. And then he came up, said hi, and then next thing I know, I bumped into you, and I was like, okay, at least I'm not alone. And then also I can, like, subconsciously just hover next to Zach because, like, big crowd, I don't know anyone, I want to do this anyways when I connect with someone. But it was just wild that, like, you know, bumped in there, and then a few other shows I think we bumped into each other too.
It was funny, I went to that one alone too, because we were going to do the giant show with Pull String, and I love their album, and I hadn't seen them yet, and so I was like, I gotta go check them out. Plus all the other bands were good. Yeah. So I was like, I don't mind flying solo, but sometimes you feel a little awkward. You're like, I should know people here. This is Minneapolis. Yeah. Like, and then I was like, oh, Michael's here. We'll just, like, chill. And then it was like, gotta have you on the pod. Yeah. Like, so, yeah.
Which, like, I'm one of those people, and I know it feels weird, like, saying this, is, like, I'm all, like... when I don't know people in the crowd, gets a little weird, so I'm, like, trying to come out of my shell a little bit more doing that, which is, you know, at 33 kind of a hard thing to break, but like one show I recently went to, obviously I had friends in town that were playing it, but it was nice to run into Caleb from Hey I Love You. Sure. Yeah, I don't know if you've interacted.
No, Lewis from Linus showed me their music. Like, sent it to me one time. And then Tidal's search algorithm sucks, so it's, like, random songs called Hey I Love You. Like, Tidal is... That's another conversation, actually. But I think it took me a long time to find them, and I did the thing where you go to Instagram to see what their album title is, and then search... Anyway, it was the whole thing. Because there's other songs called Hey, I Love You. Right. It's kind of a hassle.
Yeah.
But they're good. Yeah, Lewis showed me them, like, last summer, I think.
Yeah, they rule, and then Caleb's also another band called Flyover States, which is like a post-hardcore band.
Good name. I get it.
Well, they're originally from like Montana too.
Oh, are they?
So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, just a big state in the middle of the country.
Yeah, but they now live in St. Paul.
Okay.
Which, it's getting back to like this whole music scene we have. Like, it's such a nice hub that like that's why they wanted to move here. Like, I mean, I integrated into the scene 2020 when I moved here. I knew a handful of people, but to see like where it was then, where I was then, who I knew then to now is like crazy just thinking about everyone that's a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like that, I feel like you see this online, it's like most of the important people in your life you haven't even met yet.
Yeah.
And that's like crazy. Because I think you'd hear sometimes growing up, like, it's harder to make friends as an adult. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, I wish I just never heard that before, especially in music, because you're just going to run into people that you have like a lot of common ground with to start.
Yep.
So I wish I'd never heard that it's like hard to make friends as a grown-up. Like, I don't think it is at all. Just because you're not like in a school system doesn't mean it's not. You just go out and do things.
Right. Well, and then like even recently I was at another show and this guy we were standing next to each other and he did the thing where like the band walks by and he kind of says like, hey, have a good set, and like, but he was like kind of nervous about it.
Sure.
And I thought I heard him say something else under his breath after the band had walked away, and I was like, oh, did you say something? And he's like, no, just I feel like I was dumb because like I really like that band and I feel like I just like fumbled like a moment, and I was like, oh dude, like he'll be like, it's no big deal, like I'm sure like he was in the zone, he probably didn't fully hear you, like you're fine. But then like me and that dude were just chatting it up for a while before their set started, and it was just like
kind of nice.
Yeah, just to have like that little quote unquote like meet cute moment of just,
it is, you have one,
like just having a little bond over a band.
That's sweet. It probably made him feel a lot more comfortable too.
Yeah, and then just watching that dude go wild when that band started, like
that's so cute. I love it.
I think he was a little bit older than me, but like his knees apparently worked because he was jumping, and I was like, "There's no way I'm doing that."
Yeah, tomorrow his shins hurt, and it's like I didn't even know this could really happen.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're all over in the Twin Cities doing stuff. Obviously, you're down to about 6 bands right now, just because of
something like that.
Everything that's going on, which is understandable because earlier. I mean, we're a year and about a month or two away. I think it was the 3rd of January last year.
Yeah.
Your debut novel.
Yeah.
Unspectacular.
Is it in frame? It's right there.
Yeah, it should be. Perfectly in frame. Which I think your first actual novel that's been on Author That Way. I've had someone that's put like a book of their poems out, so
that's awesome.
But I mean, more pages than anyone else has put out that's been on the show,
which is crazy because it's a short novel.
Yeah,
it took years to get it to be 200 pages.
Yeah,
and not like way more than that.
Because I think you started like 2020-ish.
It was the end of 2021. Yeah. So, yep, December 2021.
For a lot of people that are probably more used to, the musical side of Zaq Baker, like what sparked the idea to do a novel? Because I feel like in the most recent singles, you kind of like, I feel like it's I'm gonna butcher the name of the song, and I don't want to do that.
It's not petulant, is it?
No, I think
like a vocab word.
Is it in Isolation Chic? That like I feel like it kind of hints a little bit towards like the writing that you're doing, because I feel like there's a line in there about I have it at like 400 pages. Yeah. I'm trying to whittle it down.
Yeah.
So what kind of sparked the idea to do like a full novel rather than continuing like maybe like a song long format story that way?
Totally. It's funny, on stage once in a while I like clarifying the difference between Isolation Chic, that song, and the book. So I wrote Isolation Chic in 2017 actually, so like way before I'd ever thought in a serious way about writing a novel. I was like songwriting only, and it was totally, this was, I think, like undiagnosed bipolar disorder, like speaking, because I remember like I couldn't sleep at all that night, and I was laying in bed and I was like, okay, so there's like Zach the person, and then the songwriter, and then the narrator of the song is like an author who's writing a book, so then it's also about like the person in the book, like the main character. So it's like all these frames in it, and it's mostly about the author of the book, but it was like a completely fictional thing. It was like, what if there was just a crazy author who was writing a song about what it's like to be an author? So it created this kind of like layered thing But the song's also supposed to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And the first night of the first tour last year, it was me and Connor on a duo tour, and it was awesome because it was a pop punk band that I love in Milwaukee. And because of the lyrics of Isolation Chic, they were like, go buy Zach's book after their set. He and Connor need gas money. The book is 483 pages long. And I got on stage, I was like, guys, just to clarify, the book's only 200 pages long. The character in the song is made up. The book's actually a lot easier to chew on. So I like making the distinction, but it did have this like premonition effect where maybe part of me like back in 2017 knew that the crazy writer thing was like maybe in whatever 6 years, 4 years, like I'll work up to writing something bigger. And then to answer the other part of your question, honestly, and you know my music at least a little bit, like the songs are so narrative, like I do have a lot of made up characters, or even the songs that are about me have like a pretty big story element to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the craft of songwriting, like, excuse me, by the time I put out Unspectacular, I had a lot of singles, albums, and EPs out, and I continued to write songs quite a bit. But at the same time, I think the artistic craft of like, okay, how do you pull off a story in like 4 minutes? Like, that's crazy. It's so cool to be able to do that and be surrounded by people who can do that and to like love music that does that. And I was kind of like, maybe I'm ready to do that storytelling thing, but in a way that's not probably going to fit into like a 4-minute song.
Mm-hmm.
And I just care about like character psychology so much that I'm like, man, I want to like get inside a character's head and write about them with depth in a way that just like literally requires more text, requires more words, like by volume. So it was just that thing. And then you get a cliche author answer, but there was that childhood dream element. I was like a book kid. We were always like going to the library and like curling up with books on a Saturday and stuff. And like every kid like that has fantasized about being an author. Yeah. And when I was like in elementary school and it was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was always like author. I never said like keys player. I mean, that's been my whole life forever. But it was just my dream was always like, I want to be an author. Like, so those are the reasons.
Had you ever written anything like this expansive before?
No. I had 2 short pieces published in 2022, which was a huge honor. Mm-hmm. One was a literary magazine and one was a music magazine. So those were during one of the many billions of times that I was like writing and rewriting all the different parts of Unspectacular. So while I was doing that, I was practicing prose, basically taking journal entries and trying to like work them into pieces of creative nonfiction. So those were other non-music pieces of writing, I guess, and then they were both about music. It's like it can't be avoided. One was essentially an album review, and then one was just like a personal story that was all about playing in bands and stuff. But no, I've never attempted anything like long form, like a novel. You know, it's a crazy undertaking. It is a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, it's insane because like the amount of time that has to go into putting something like this together is, I'm trying to, like, for people listening and like most bands that are listening, like it's equivalent to almost putting out a full LP. I would say, like, by the time you start it, kind of get it going, timeline might be a little bit longer with edits and stuff like that, but like it's the same like baby. You gotta figure out your whole story, figure out whatever theme you're trying to go with, get it prepared, get it recorded, get it mastered, all this fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like trying to work my way through this. You started it around like 2020, 2021. Obviously it came out in 2025. Like at what point do you think like you were almost like ready to release, or like what was the big hurdle that like obviously made it be in 2025?
Yeah, well, it's funny too because so many giant art projects are like this. Like I started in December 2021, and in like May 2022 I was like, yeah, I'm basically ready. I'm gonna start writing to like agents and see if anyone wants to publish, which is like a crazy bananas thing to do. But no, I remember so I wrote to like 200 literary agents like kind of during and near the end of writing the book, and like 12 of them asked for the full manuscript based on my pitch and excerpt, which is apparently like a very big deal. Mm-hmm. I know so few people that have pitched novels that I didn't have a lot of people to bounce that off of, so I didn't know. Eventually they all, politely declined, which is fine. The book business is hard. Yeah. I think it's even harder than music. I'm not sure. But eventually the agent who like made by far the most sense to do it, like does music books, happens to be young. We had a nice Zoom call. And eventually she declined. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that's a sign. And it's not meant to be published, traditionally. And so I just kind of like set it aside for a few months, which I think is a good thing. And it was like early 2024 and my life was very topsy-turvy anyway. And then a friend was like, well, you worked this hard. Why don't you just publish it yourself? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So then I revisited it that summer of 2024 with a lot of like fresh air, I guess. Like I had just set it aside for a while. And then after that, I was like, it is done. Yeah. And then because I'm a pretty crazy person with like diligence and perfectionism, like the person who did the formatting, like when she would go through and do the formatting, I would like notice stuff that I then wanted to change about the actual book. So there were like even days before I actually like had it printed, I was making like little text changes just to get everything perfect. And then I appreciate the LP comparison because that's super real. And if there's one core difference, and you can probably see this answer coming, but like the albums of mine that I'm the most proud of have like 15 people playing on them. Yeah. And so some of what makes that project so like arduous in a beautiful way is like, all right, I'm going to show like this other amazing guitarist these songs, or like someone who plays like saxophone or like vocal harmonies, and then work with a producer, and like all the tweaks you get to mind meld, which can inhibit process management just because it takes a long time. But it's like this beautiful thing about music where you're like working with other people. And then a book, like for years, it's like just you know? And I showed it to people that gave like really good feedback in 2022. I had a professional editor. Like there are other people involved, but a ton of that like bulk is like, I have no idea if this is good. Like I have no idea if this is good. So if there's one difference, it can be more fun almost to be on your own and just be like uninhibited in that way. Mm-hmm. But it's a little bit like making an album for sure. Oh. Yeah.
Well, props for overcoming that hurdle and picking it back up. Shout out to whatever friend told you to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go back to your point of, you sent them excerpts from your book and they all wanted to read the manuscript.
It was nice.
That's a great sign because, again, to put it into, music terms, that's like sending a song, a demo to a label and then being like, yeah, let's see what the rest of that's going to sound like.
Yeah, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is sick that you had that many people at least be initially interested. Obviously, go fuck all of them. I'll say it for you. But to still overcome that and be like, hey, I'm not going to be deterred. I'm going to put this out anyways. Like,
yeah, and one of the epiphanies, right, was like, I've self-published music, like, my whole career, right? Anyone in my generation is like, okay, we finished the album, like, we're just going to put it out. Right. Unless things work out really fortuitously, specifically with people representing you. It's like, well, most people just make records that they're proud of and they'll drop them. So I was like, oh, I could just do that. And then I could just have it printed, and then I can tour it myself. And then I can just have them in my car the same way I have t-shirts and that bands that make CDs have CDs. So that was kind of a realization. I was like, I can muscle my way through it. It would be a lot cooler if someone was like representing me.
Yeah.
And I wanted the accreditation. Like it would be nice if like some New Yorker was like, we have decided to represent you. Like I'd be like, great, now I know it's good. Yeah. Like someone professional thought it was good, but it's fine. Yeah.
What does a Zaq Baker book tour look like? Because I know you recently did one a few weeks ago, another leg of this extended long book tour that you've kind of been going on every so often. But like, what does that normally look like? Because I'm so used to just like the music version of just like, hey, we drove here, we're gonna play this show, sleep in the car. What happens next?
It is essentially that. Like, I'm kind of fond of explaining it as it's like any band goes on tour, only the merch is like the art project that I was like obsessed with for years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I have t-shirts and stickers too. But it's the same. Like, I book shows in other cities with other local acts who end up becoming like really close friends because that's just the kind of bond. But you play a set, usually at a bar, sometimes at a bookstore. And then I'm like, the reason I'm here is because I worked my tail off on this novel, and the novel's entirely about music. if you like the songs, you know, you could consider taking a book home with you. But structurally, it's just like a tour. And then I sleep on floors, which, like, the older I get, you know. And I've got the thing too where, like, I love driving alone and, like, doing the road thing, but, like, sometimes I'll be on stage and be like, my legs are kind of, like, shaky, just because all I did was stare at, like, a highway for 8 hours to play 20 minutes. But I kind of like being crazy like that. But yeah, that's how the tours are. There's really structurally nothing terribly different. And then I don't ever read out loud from the book. I just feel like with novels, it would just feel weird. Like, oh, page 56, like, people be like, well, who is she? I don't care about this character. I'm not invested. Poetry, I love seeing people read, because that's a form that, like, end to end, obviously you can just read it in front of people. But excerpts from a book, I'm like, I don't know. If you like the songs, the same artistic sensibilities from the songs are in the book, right? It's like, if you like the quirky kind of verbal dramedy thing, like, it's sad but it's funny, it's like, that's all in the songs. You'll probably like the book. I don't know.
That's good to know, because, like, whenever I picture, and I think most people when they picture, like, a book tour, I think we're just so prone to, like, TV and movies where we just see the people up there like, here's the excerpt from my book that I'm going to read part of this one chapter that's, you know, chapter 46 in the middle of this book.
Like,
that
who
makes
are these
no
people?
fucking sense. Yeah.
Which, and other people doing that is, like, great. I just feel like for my own work, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you could start from the beginning, I guess. And there's, like, passages I'm proud of. I just feel like if I'm going to be on stage, I guess it's like, well, I play piano and I write songs, so why wouldn't I just use that time to cook and, like, play shows?
Right.
Plus, the way Connor put it, too, like, so the book release show was right after the book came out at the very beginning of 2025 at Ice House. It was super fun. They had a grand piano as a complete coincidence. They had it for a jazz show. But it was just the way Connor explained it. He was like, well, yeah, we're celebrating it with a show because that's, like, what we do. It's just, like, what we know how to do. And I was like, that's just so true. It didn't even occur to me not to, like, have the thing on stage be a rock show and then have the thing you take home be the book. I don't know how else I would celebrate anything. Like, I do birthday shows, album release shows. It's like, it's a book. We should play a big show. You know? So him just being like, that's what we know how to do. It's like, yeah, it's just kind of what we do. Just play shows, you know? Like, make a night out of it.
Yeah, that's, like, the perfect terms. Because, yeah, we're always doing something. Like, we talked about Beers Vans Fest. I know people that birthday shows are going on all the time. It's just the best way to kind of support something. Go to all the homies together, whether they're involved, however they're involved, you know, get them all together and just have a good time.
Yeah.
I had another question in there that I'm trying to remember what it was before we talked about that. It might come back to me. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. One cool thing for people that nope. It was almost back. I gotta just move on. One cool thing that if people have checked out Unspectacular that you do in it is the style of writing that you're doing it. Like, when you're reading it like almost like a journal entry throughout. What was like the idea behind doing like that rather than, you know, a story, like you know how we normally think of like the whole nonfiction story, but we're more feeling like I have, you know, her journal that I'm reading or AJ's, like, and I'm reading it from their point of view rather than like the big, like, almost third person point of view.
Yeah.
Was there a reason behind doing it that way?
Yeah. Okay. I love answering this question. So first of all, for May, I just feel like first person always made sense for her. I think I was saying before, like, if you're writing a character, it's so fun and, like, weird and exploratory to, like, get to imagine what it would be like to be them. Mm-hmm. And so for her, I was like, she's got to be first person. And to me, it sounds like you read it. Yeah. I get a lot of people interview me that you can, like, tell if they read it or didn't, which, like, is fine. But I was like, oh, you read it. Okay, we can talk in greater depth. I'm pretty good at answering, like, either way and, like, feeling it out. But May is, like, I would say the protagonist, and then a Jay, for his plot, I was like, third person makes sense for him because I want to have one person be in first person and one have this, like, overarching third person. And his character is kind of, like, neurotic and clinical and, like, less confessional. And so to me, having this author, like, explain his problems, like, from above just made more sense. But the journal entry thing, this is so funny because for her it was like, okay, short chapters, first person, this is who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had a professional editor look it over, they don't make changes. They just give you like overarching, like they don't go in and edit it.
Yeah. They just give you like a list of thoughts and ideas as to what could be better and stuff like that.
Exactly. And she was amazing. But she was like, the way that you have these different plots like dovetail, she was like, a reader might be confused if you're not more clear about the timeline.
Mm.
And so then I was like, I mapped out the entire book, like again, by hand with like dates and times for everything so that I knew. And then I was like, I'm just going to essentially timestamp every chapter because then it's like unambiguous, the order that things are happening. And so I've had a few people be like, oh, it's cool that they're like journal entries. And I'm like, okay, because that wasn't the intention. But for May, it totally works because she talks to you essentially like a diary. Like she's like, this is my unrestrained like personal take on my problems with my parents and with my music and all of that stuff. So I think it worked.
No, yeah, finding out that it wasn't intentional is great. It's always funny when like something that becomes so prominent in its body of work stemmed from something not being intentional,
right?
And now everyone's like, no, yeah, this is a great idea that you did this, and you're just like, yeah, it's all my idea. That's why
I'm very honest about authenticity. So, but I think just prose wise it works for May anyway. I'm like, yeah, it's actually very close to what a journal entry is anyway. And I love short chapters. I just like when things are accessible.
Yeah.
But each chapter in the whole book is pretty like succinct by design. And so having it feel like a journal entry is like, yeah, why not?
And one thing, my thought kind of popped back in when we were going through that, so it worked out.
Got it.
We talked about you not reading like excerpts from the book, but if people are like interested and they are wanting to get a feel for it, you did record you reading the first chapter. And that is out there for people to at least get like a feel for, what they're getting into.
Yeah, I genuinely forgot that I did that. You're right. 10 minutes of the book are out there because I at a EP that came out this fall. I made that the third track on the album because I like doing stuff that I don't think anyone's done before. So I was like, it's a record, 2 songs I'm quite proud of, and then like a chapter of a book.
Which was really funny to me because like when I pulled up that EP, I was like, this is three songs and this entire EP is 17 minutes long. What's going on? And then I realized, I was like, oh, this is the first. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Now it clicked that this is going to be the first chapter. But part of me was also like, is he just calling it the first chapter and it's just like a spin on like a first chapter of Unspectacular, but it's just like a song about Unspectacular?
Which would be crazy.
Yeah.
The cinematic universe goes like one layer deeper.
Right.
Like that would be crazy.
Have you thought about doing an audiobook for the rest of...
Yeah, I've actually been very hard at work on one. Eric Martin at the Clubhouse is an amazing engineer. So he has engineered all the strings parts on my albums that have strings, like the pop punk ones with strings. He was the strings engineer. He did my live record with me. He's done some of my acoustic songs. So Eric is awesome, and he and I have been hard at work on the audiobook all winter. So yeah, we started in the fall. We stopped as soon as like the ice occupation got serious because I was like, I'm devoting all of my time to resistance. Or I was like, I'm not going to work on my like made up book, right now. So we just got back into it probably like 2 weeks ago, and it's genuinely fun. Yeah. And I think it's surprising how much you have to dig into the answer to this for those listening, but there's like what you do with breathing and what you do with like, so the microphone I had is wonderful, but like I live in Whittier, and when you have headphones on, you think you're just recording a book. Like how hard can it be? Right. And we're like, it's like, and then Ajay had this problem with his like interior psychological life, and you can literally hear just like, row, 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 or like there's a siren like in every chapter because like Lake Street is within earshot. Yeah. And it's like a little bit funny, but sometimes he'll just look at me and be like, we're gonna do the best we can. But if there's little things like that, it's like that's a little bit indie rock. Like I'm okay with being like, yeah, the budget I was sitting in my apartment. It's funny because I don't have to explain any of this to you. This is just for the fans. Yeah. But it's a surprising amount of like getting in there. to make it sound like it did when you sat in the room and just spoke it.
Would you prefer to do it the way you're doing, or would you rather sit in like a room that's dead silent and read it that way?
I mean, I think if I could do it again, it would have been dead silent. And also, like, Eric is really good, and RX is this, like, amazing audio editing tool. Maybe you know about. It's wild, and I'm not going to explain it as well as he could, but the audio shows up, it almost looks like a painting or something, where the color scheme of the frequencies you want shows up in, like, this dark blue and purple.
Okay.
And then a lot of stuff was, like, red and white on the outskirts. And you can, like, look within it spatially and be like, oh, that's like where the siren was, or that's where like this rumble was from like my neighbor watching a movie or something. And it's like really remarkable, honestly, how close you can get. So I don't think most people would listen and notice those things. And if they did, I think that would bother me.
Yeah.
Like if it was done and you could hear like a dog barking, I would probably re-record it.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
fair.
I want it to be clean.
Yeah.
You don't want there to be distraction.
I know there's some episodes from when I lived in South Minneapolis. You can hear it faintly, but I would hear it on my listens back, like because I live near the airport, so you just hear the planes going over. Every once in a while.
But it sounds like the plane is like in the apartment, like because it's a sensitive mic, so it's like it sounds like a jet is going like by my place on 27th.
Yeah,
like,
which is wild because like when like I was recording it, like I could, you don't hear it anymore because you're so used to the airplanes and stuff. And then I listened back to it. I'm like, oh, I wonder if that band heard just rumble for no reason, but like it's still faint enough for like, I don't know if they heard it, but like I could definitely pick it up on like the listen back. And it's just like, oh well, can't do anything. And I was in a basement too.
Right.
It's just wild.
It is, and it's funny too. I'm glad I recorded it before I got a cat because like I love him. He's my whole life, but also like it would super like every 5 minutes. Hey, call, you know better than that, like, and then you'd have to like go in there and edit that out, and he would for sure just be like, oh, I'm gonna knock the mic over because I'm a cat. And so there is at least that, that was, I guess, a convenience of timing that happened that way. But it's kind of fun because I've never, and this always surprises people, I've never done acting like in any serious way. Like I wasn't like a theater kid or anything. A lot of people don't believe me.
That honestly is surprising.
It's true. But so when I did the book, I didn't have any like, this is how you voice act, or this is, and I like audiobooks, but it's not like I'd listen to a million of them. Like normally I read print. So I got to sort of like pretend to be a voice actor, which was a fun like new thing. Like, well, I haven't done that before. And then sitting really closely with Eric and working on the audio in the way that we are feels like I'm growing a part of my brain as someone who really likes to backseat drive with engineers. Like, I like to know what's going on. And so I think it's been, like, you'd think you'd just sit there and read it. But those are two skills I think I'm, like, developing now better just as a result of making an audiobook, which I did not see coming. Because,
like, you can't just sit there and, like, read it. You have to be... Because, like, at a certain point, I feel like just someone sitting there reading it, like, you're just going to kind of zone out and just, like, say the words. But you got to be present and, like, understand what you're doing. Because, like, you're also doing voices at the same time.
Yeah.
For people, which is wildly fun. And also, again, it blows my mind that you weren't a theater kid and you're still doing all these voices.
You probably remember this, but there's like a conniving record producer in the book who's, I swear, he's like loosely based on like this Google image of like either Max Martin or like some other producer that I found like years ago. And I just had this image of him in my mind, and he's like, the accent I do for him is like, it's like pretty offensive. Like, I did it like a year and a half ago, and like listening to it with Eric, I was kind of like embarrassed almost. I was like, dude, is this like offensive kind of? He's like, yeah, but it's funny. He's like, what, you know that what you're doing is funny. I was like, right. I just don't want it to come off like really bad.
Right.
It's just this, it's like a not very good, like generally European accent. So that's funny. Otherwise, the voices are like kind of just shoot from the hip. This is what I think this character might sound like. Yeah. So, but that's a cool challenge. It's good to grow. Yeah. And to be surprised at what can make you grow, I think.
When can we expect the audiobook to be dropping?
Yeah, we have been working at a pretty good pace. But I don't know the answer. We will do like long days, and I think the next session could be like the last one, but that would be like an 8-hour day. We're doing, and again, it's nice that you read it. There's some emails in the book that are like super important to the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up using like I don't know what you want to call it. This is not even close to what AI is, just to be super clear. But it was like Fred, like the Microsoft voice,
Oh, okay.
like the Fitter Better Radiohead like voice. I found one that's like that to do the emails, just like to make it sound computer-ish. And so I might go in and do the rest of the emails in the book like that, which would then slow down the audiobook process. But it's kind of like this weird, fun, like impersonal, cold way to have someone say what they're saying through a writing.
Yeah.
That kind of works for me creatively. So I might need to do that, and I don't know when I'm going to do that. And then I don't know if we'll do like a release show for the audiobook, because it's so weird, but it like makes sense to me. Like, let's just book a show for an audiobook. We can just all listen to it. Just kidding. It'd be so crazy. Like 10 hours. From 3 to 11. Just sit there.
It would be kind of wild.
It'd maybe be the first time anyone's ever done that. Like US Bank Stadium, just like listening to a book. Like, but yeah, I don't know. It'll be 2026 for sure. I also have to say, like, I've never been in a rush to put out the audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I'm not rushing it is like I'm really proud of the novel, and touring a book, like you can send people home with it.
Yeah.
And that does feel like has more staying power than people being like, I'll totally listen to it, you know, which is what they do with recorded music, and that's fine. But I do like the feeling of like, I go on the road and I'm like a long way from home, and someone like has my book.
Yeah.
And they'll like maybe read it, you know. And yeah. That's I'm excited to put it out, and I'm also like, it's okay. I'm still touring a lot, so I don't feel like a rush to get it like online in that way.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, everyone, just be ready for that. If you're not a reader person or a listener person, you kind of hinted at it a little bit ago, that when you stopped, kind of put the recording and editing for the audio version on hold. Obviously, we had a lot of things going on in the Twin Cities the past few months. Great way to start the year, with ice occupation and stuff like that. During that time, obviously, you've been out on the front lines, kind of being out there, supporting in different ways. But you also wrote a new song recently called "Victorious."
Yeah.
Which, thank you for sending that to me.
Yeah.
It's such a good like anthem, and like a song to kind of just remind people like that there's kind of like hope. Obviously, the time that we're recording this, most of the occupation is gone. Finally, kind of take me back to that initial moment, like when you decided to kind of do Victorious. Like, obviously, I know what kind of triggered a lot of the thought process behind it. But like, what were you trying to think of the right way to put this? Because obviously we all know what was going on, but like, what were like some of the things that you were kind of pulling from to kind of really get that release out the way you needed to do it?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I mean, so when the occupation felt like it got incredibly serious, I think for most people was the day that Renee Good was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And from that day, and this has happened to me every time there's been like a human rights crisis that I've felt able to do something about, like I kind of just set my whole career like over here, not by choice, but there's just like this go instinct, and you saw it all over the Twin Cities. Like a lot of people did that. They just had like stuff in their life that got set aside because they were helping people get groceries, or they were doing the patrolling thing, or they were like corralling mutual aid resources, or they were turning their day job into a way to help people. Like all these people that were like, I stole our 3D printer to make whistles. And like I heard that from a lot of people. So I think just by instinct I went into that like category and was like, not gonna like, whatever. It didn't occur to me, I think, to work on like an art project in a related way. And the people that did right away, it's like awesome. There were like dozens and dozens and dozens of like powerful songs that happened like ASAP, and I was like, this is so awesome that people are doing this, and I just think my head was like not there. And then
which is understandable, because like,
well, there's so many places you can get involved.
Yeah. And then like, I mean, just between getting involved, but like I know there was times where I had, people wanted to do something or someone was trying to call me to just check in, and I was like, I just mentally just knowing what's going on, like I couldn't handle just like talking about anything or like checking in. Like I had talked to my parents and my dad's from Central America, and I was just like, because we hadn't seen each other since Thanksgiving, and he was like, "Oh, when should we come up next?" I'm like, "Not anytime soon." Like, do not. Well, they were also out of the country when a lot of it like started off, but I had to have those conversations of like, don't visit until I tell you it's okay, basically, just because I don't want anything to happen.
It's probably not a good time to come up.
Yeah. So just having those was like rough to. You never think you're gonna have to tell your parents, "Hey, just don't visit."
No, yeah, I'm sure for you that hadn't like occurred to you, or even flying into the U.S. right would be like, I don't know about right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But you'd asked about the song at one point. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, dude, what you're saying is super important. I was just more like, Zach, you have to stay on track too. Yeah, it was not by instinct to write it, and then there was just like a night where I was trying to fall asleep, and I kept having all the basically images, like those incredibly recent memories, like rhyming, essentially, which is a sign of a crazy creative person, like, and so that felt like lyrics coming together. So I remember thinking like, I am too tired to write a song. I was like laying in bed and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put them in my notepad now, and then I just got up in the morning and like cooked basically and made it a song. But yeah, I appreciate your seeing the optimistic message in it, and I did have a fair amount of people say the same. They were like, they appreciate that it's like, I would say pretty unflinching about just like calling ICE like cowards, and the people that orchestrated all the things that they have done are like these like odious, horrible people. They're just like doing a horrible, horrible thing, and saying that, but then having the song, I think, spend more time celebrating the way that like people around here came together around it. And I think probably the reason it's optimistic is that's what I saw more of. Like, just in my actual, with like my human eyes 24/7, like I saw ICE being awful and violent in person, but also just by the like tactile fact of it, I spent every single waking hour seeing people be helpful. Like what you actually see is like this citizenry of like Minnesota just like coming together.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it was just like, well, this is what's like there on the table when I'm writing a thing based on my own recent working memories. Like, well, that's what was happening. Yeah. Everybody just wanted to help. All different kinds of people. Yeah. So I think it was just like, this is what's around me. That's what you like amalgamate into a 4-minute song or however long it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we talked about how good and great the music scene is, but the general scene of people in the Twin Cities is amazing. Just the images from that march,
so sick,
is so amazing and so sick. Just seeing how many thousands of people did that, and I know people outside of the Twin Cities are going to be like, I've said multiple times like, oh, that's AI, that's all this, or
but it's not like I was there.
Yeah, it's not like there were so many people fucking there, and like it's just amazing to see an entire city come together like that. Because I'm from small town Iowa, where some days when I scroll through Facebook, it's going to be rough, especially during all this. There's still people saying that they're paid protesters and shit like that, and then I'm like, this goes away today.
Who would be paying them is like my main question.
Right. It's just insane. Just the world that we're fucking living in, and the way that now all of these people are getting prosecuted, and then during hearings blatantly lying, to the point where you just, thankfully again I have to be like, okay, this goes away, like just put the phone away again, or just turn on music that doesn't pertain to any of that. But it's just wild what we're fucking living through right now. It
is wild what we're living through, and like everyone, like it's on the forefront. Partially, I think, because the economic impact of how poorly things are run, like wealth disparity, like most people that I know have to think about that part every day, and so it impacts their life every day.
Yeah.
But the qualifier, like this came up yesterday, it's like, how you doing? It's like, well, other than the state of the world, like you have to like say that because everyone's thinking about it, and it weirdly sounds like it's almost like it's in poor taste not to acknowledge like that it is bad out there.
Yeah.
Like it's bad.
Yeah. I get a haircut about every month. So January and February, both times I went to go get a haircut, I'd sit down with Matt Webster, and he'd be like, how's it going? And we'd just kind of
Oh, Webby cuts your hair.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
We'd look at each other in the mirror, and we both kind of just like, well, we knew, like, besides that, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, and just having to acknowledge it and just deal with all that. But yeah, Webby's my guy.
Yeah, I love him.
I love him so much.
The first time we met, he had seen my band play, which is literally like piano plus pop punk. And I didn't know like the Gloria lore at that time. This is like a couple years ago. But he was like, yeah, I'm like a big pop punk guy. And he pulls out his phone and he has, like, you remember like pop sockets like on the back of your phone? Yeah. Billy Joel's face. And I was like, this guy is like I feel like my music was made for him. Like, his things are pop punk and Billy Joel. I was like, you are my guy. Like, I don't know if I've ever hit it off in such a, like, core way with someone. Like, yeah, he's awesome. Yeah. And Gloria rules. Rats did a show with them in August, and just his stage presence Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay, in Henderson?
No, it wasn't the Henderson one.
Okay, because it was like a smaller town thing.
There was, I didn't go to that
VFW.
one. It was the VFW.
That was fun.
That was a good one.
It was funny, too, because that generation of pop punk, for them it was like high school reunion. Yeah. Like, everyone knew each other, and he's like, we're all taking shots because we've known each other. And I was like, I love this stuff, and I'm just in the opening band, and I felt like a little young almost, and like, the energy was cool though, because I think for them to play like a reunion show, I'm sure that in that career trajectory, to have it just be like completely packed. And the album rocks. Like, the one that they ended up having to like release again on their own or whatever. It's just like a great record. Like,
yeah, because I think I don't remember when I ever had listened to Glory before, but at some point I had already liked their Facebook page. So like when that show got announced, I was like, when the fuck did I like this page? But like I knew Webby had been like talking about it, because when I would get my haircut, he would be like, oh yeah, we're gonna be doing this show or whatever. So me and my friends got there, and I kind of bumped into Webby earlier, and then like at one point I just kind of like turned around, I think maybe during Portside's set, and I was just like, where did all these people come from? Because like it was just went from like half empty room to like jam packed out of nowhere, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
It was beautiful.
It was
and VFW
so amazing.
Is like perfect venue for that too.
Yeah, that was a nice spot. It was the first time there too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big room. I feel like it only works if it's like an event. Yeah, because you gotta bring out a lot of people.
Yeah, you know? And that was a great spot. The other spot that I still need to go to at some point, I had a feeling we were probably gonna get on the topic of venues, is Ice House. That one's been on my list. I've never been there yet. Yeah, but I've heard good things.
It's less pop punk. You know what I mean? When Rats did a show there, I don't remember when, honestly, but it was like a handful of months ago, and it was kind of funny because it's like a beautiful dining room and bar, and they do like a lot of jazz, and I've played, I don't know, like dozens of shows there probably, and like all along the indie pop, like my band's played a bunch of shows there, but Toilet Rats are like either too synth pop or too punk for that. And so it was like a little bit funny, but then it was also awesome because like Ice House does great nightlife stuff. Like they used to do Night Church, which I think is before you moved here, but like they like go super hard on like DJ stuff. Okay. But having it be like, should we have people seating and dining while we play Toilet Rats? It was like a little bit silly, but I mean there'll be a lineup that makes sense for you as like a fan, you know? But it's funny. I love that place.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Also, just, again, shout out to Tommy and the Rats.
Like, yeah, we love Tommy.
Like, one of the nicest people I think I've ever met in the Twin Cities.
100%.
And I told him this, too, I think, when we sat down. It's just, I love just how he, like, unintentionally will turn on that switch and go from, like, Tommy and then Tommy on stage. Like, they're two different people, and I love both of them, but it's just amazing watching him turn on that switch.
Yeah, there's some people like that where there's really, like, the persona, you know, happens, and it's just different. But yeah, he's just the best. Absolute best.
One other person that I'd be remiss of not bringing up, mainly because I also wore their shirt today. Gonna shout out Matty P, aka Gunk Lung, mutual homie of both of ours. Yeah. Miss that dude. Hopefully see him next time I'm home. He had a couple questions for you.
Oh, like by way of you, he's going to ask me questions on the pod. Yeah. Okay, because we like text and DM too. He had tickets to the Cedar headline. Yeah, I know. Like, I was very excited to like have him come up to Minneapolis. Yeah. Because he knows so much about food. It's like, come here and like eat some Minneapolis, like find some good restaurants.
Yeah, because he was actually gonna, I think, try and like volunteer at a couple of restaurants too. Yeah, when he was up here, one other time.
He played like Memory Lanes, I want to say.
Yep, so I was at that show too, which was sick because they were out on the lanes. But he had come up, there was a Hot Mulligan, I think, played at somewhere in Uptown. I can't think of the venue name, the big one, Fillmore.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. But yeah, when they were up for that, like him and Jackie were like hitting up a bunch of food spots, and then he's the one that actually introduced me to Marty's Deli, since we went and checked that out for breakfast.
Yeah, that's like perfect breakfast.
Yeah, it hit so well.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so his question was, what are some of your inspirations?
Inspirations, yeah, like for I guess anything. Probably.
Yeah, let's say like let's do two. Obviously, one inspiration music wise, and then some inspiration maybe author wise.
Yeah, totally. I mean, music wise, I already mentioned Billy Joel once, so yeah. I don't know if I can mention him again. But
I think it's fair to.
He's kind of like my most essential artist. Yeah. You know. And there's much that can be said. I did a different... Do you know Musicians on Musicians, that podcast? It's Nick Costa that does it.
I think I've heard of it.
He's like big pop punk guy,
okay.
And he just loves like classic rock, Willie Nelson, Steely Dan, like. But he does a podcast where he'll only interview like one musician, and then they have to pick one musician to talk about. And so it's like if someone's a super fan of like one band, that's the whole interview. So he's had people do like there was like a Chili Peppers one, there was like there was like a Paul McCartney one, you know. So I did Billy Joel for that one, so maybe I'll let that one stay over there. I mean, for my music, like Motion City is probably my number one influence on like my own music, and you know my songs well enough to know that it's like the songwriting is so like crisp and like perfect and punchy, but it is also narrative enough, and there's so much personality in it. So they're a huge influence. I love pop artists who can do the like reinventing their sound thing. Like they're like, I'm going to be through my music like this new person. So like personality trait of mine, I've been a Charlie XCX fan for like a long time. Like way before Brad, you know, like way before. Like, but 2011, she opened for like Coldplay of all things, because they would put on like a lot lesser known artists to open for them. Which like, how great would it be to do a North America tour with Coldplay?
Right.
When you're super young, and it was when True Romance was a new record, and I just remember thinking like, who is this like super British goth girl who makes pop music? Like, I love this, because that was like her thing. And then every album, she would just kind of reinvent the sound she was doing. Like, Sucker has, like, so much rock and punk in it. And then all her albums after that, like, will go all over the place with, like, electro-pop and stuff. But I think about that arc a lot for her, because there's so much, like, sonic reimagining of what she can do. But the songs are always, in my opinion, very good. So she's a big inspiration. And I don't think my music sounds like it's influenced by her, but I feel like that school of thought is like one that I just admire and like a lot.
As like a listener, and I appreciate a band that I follow for a long time that's kind of growing with themselves and like kind of challenging themselves on each new record. Because like, don't get me wrong, New Found Glory is amazing, but I don't want to listen to like the same record all the time. I've said the same about like Early Story so far. Like, those records are amazing. They have their place in pop punk history. Yeah. But when they went from like what they were doing into like Proper Dose, that was a good transition of like, okay, they're doing something. Totally. And like one of my favorite bands is Such Gold, and to watch them go from like easy core pop punk into like this mathcore style band, I've been with it the entire time because like they've slowly progressed and done it just like their own. Like,
and you get to see it happen.
Exactly.
Or like Paramore, right? That's like the best example. Yeah. Like amazing pop punk albums, like multiple incredible records, and then like, we're going to do the new wave thing now and make After Laughter, and they pulled in so many people that had never even heard like the hit songs from Riot. They were just like, oh, this is cool, like dancey music, and now Haley's career is like incredible. Yeah. Just amazing. So I feel like they're a good example too. Or oddly, Panic at the Disco keeps coming up in conversation, because I think their second album is kind of after that. Most people are like, okay. But they made a completely different, like Pretty Odd is just like a total, they wanted to do like the Sergeant Pepper thing, and it's just like not, it's just such a cool departure that was like, wouldn't have seen coming probably. And so.
Turnstile's done it as well. Their last records
so good.
have always been amazing, but it's also cool to see, like, as much as people want to like gatekeep and be like, well, they're not hardcore anymore, like, they'll always be a hardcore band, but it's cool seeing like people find them now and then going back into their discography and being like, oh shit, Pressure to Succeed, like, this is the same band and it's drastically different, but just seeing that band always do their own thing throughout it, I think that's the most punk rock thing.
Yeah, staying true to, and just like, you gotta grow as an artist, right? Like seeing someone decide like this album is gonna be like a big art project, and if you're just making more records that are the same stuff, that's like one of the big reasons I've gone way into like synth territory for the last like 2 years, is like, I love making rock albums. I want to do that every day. And I was like, this would be a good way to not make a Zaq album that kind of sounds like the Zaq albums that came before it. Sometimes I feel like there's only so much I can do with like certain instrumentations. I'm like, man, I listen to so much like super synthy, like poppy music. Like, I kind of want to see what happens there.
Yeah.
You know? And Matt from Portside sent me like a super epic text when he, like, I think it was when Petulant came out, and he was like, it's cool that you're doing the synth thing. You'll always be pop punk to me. And it was something to the effect of like, and whenever you're ready, you can always come home. And I was like, texts that go like so hard, like that just went like so hard, like it was a beautiful thing.
That's awesome.
And I've had multiple people be like, I kind of want you to make more like pop punk, like rock albums, and I'm like, I probably will. I'd like to. It's so fun making an album with a band. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, because how many people do you have like normally step in to fill in for like for the Zaq projects, like
on stage?
Yeah,
usually 5.
Okay.
And then often have like vocal features for big shows. So yeah, quintet.
Yeah,
just like a rock band. Nice. With a piano, like very much doing a lot of the lifting.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Influences author-wise,
yeah. I'm trying to think of who I was reading a ton when I wrote Unspectacular. There's an author named Lucy Ellman who's super weird and awesome, and is very like British American, and most of her books are short and super funny, but in like this weirdly dark, like psychological way. And I remember like loving her work when I was working on Unspectacular, so I think of it that way. As a tangent, she has a book called Ducks Newburyport that's 1,100 pages long, and it is, no cap, it's one sentence long. I don't know if she just wanted to see if she could do it, and I've recommended it to people that understandably have like not finished it, because it's like 1,100 pages. Like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to really talk about it, but it's like one housewife who's basically just like housebound in Ohio with like what she has to deal with and all of her thoughts and memories. And it's just like, I remember being like 15 pages in and being like, okay, this giant book is going to be one sentence long. None of that influenced this book. It's just, that's what like Lucy Ellman's all about. So I was reading her a lot when I was writing this one. I also love Jonathan Latham a lot. His most famous book is Motherless Brooklyn. And I've never seen the movie, but I think that's like a somewhat well-known movie. Never seen it. But he has a book called The Fortress of Solitude that I was like obsessed with when I was like becoming a novelist or whatever. And I think his sense of humor is great, and I think he just does a lot of depth when it's like, what are this character's like personal problems, you know?
Yeah.
And goes through people's upbringings in a way that I think is really cool. So I think reading that book just happened to be at a time when I was getting into like being a writer in a more serious way. And that's the same as like being a 6th grader and having American Idiot come out. It was like the timing, you just can't extricate it. It's like, what a great time for like a good thing to just be in your life when you're getting your start in a craft. So those are 2. I'm trying to think of who else I was reading a lot while I was working on this novel. I'll put a pin in it because it just, obviously you got to read a lot, you know? So I'm trying to think of who else, but those are some.
Okay. He did, so he sent me a couple, but I think you kind of answered one earlier. in Isolation Chic, where because his question was, "Is that actually about you?" He said that he's asked
It's
before,
not. Yeah.
and he just wanted to make sure because I think he said I didn't write it down verbatim when he put it in the message, but he said something about like you being a quirky person, so you didn't know if you were lying about it.
Hey, I don't lie.
Okay.
It's fiction writing. It's like super different. Lying would. The story's fictional.
Right.
I would be lying if I said it was about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll go to his other question, which this one we'll see what you can come up with, and I feel like you're one that probably doesn't have these too much, but what are some of your guilty pleasure songs?
Guilty pleasure songs.
Yeah.
Okay. I got one. This is like one of my probably the most streamed song in my 2025. I kind of made it like this tour anthem. I would listen to Two Trim by Chief Keef like most days.
Okay.
And it's hard to say exactly why, because the kick drum like sucks. In my mind, it's like super hard trappy music, and I'm like, the kick drum, they were making way better kick drums in like 2004. It's just like, so that doesn't even justify it. And the lyrics are like, I would say very offensive. Like there's like a middle verse that's just like so unambiguously horrible, but it just like goes really hard. You know what like to me that's like a guilty pleasure where I just like his flow. It's just like it's there,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the hi-hats, and it just like now I have this association with it and like the car. And the only way I think I kind of justify it is that in one of the very offensive verses, like the rhyme scheme is actually kind of amazing and reaches a higher standard than I had ascribed to Chief Keef until listening to this album. And it is actually pretty impressive. But within the scope of music, I feel like that's one that's just like, yeah, I don't know if I would even really defend this artistically. It just brings me pleasure when I listen to it.
Yeah.
But I bet he qualified that with like, nah, Zach would find a way to like defend something and be like, no, it's good. Like,
No, yeah, all it was just what is Zach's guilty pleasure songs?
I wonder if like if this counts as a guilty pleasure where I've listened to something so many times I'm not like gonna gain something from listening to it more, but I just will. I'll be like, I'll listen to Speak Now top to bottom. Like Taylor Swift's early work, I'm like, do I need to listen to it again? Like, yeah, I think I do, you know, but I don't feel guilty about it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, no. Your side point about Chief Keef and like just how I find this amazing too when I'll listen to some rap songs, and then you just kind of they hit that one verse and there's so many like double entendres and you're like, wait, they're really like and then you break it down and you're like, oh man, they are smarter than they're playing out, because like then you just break it down as to like every double meaning that they're actually going with.
Yeah, that's like Pusha T. Like every song, like you think about it harder and you're like, you said a lot of things with like 5 or 6 words.
Oh yeah.
Like he'll do one phrase that's like, that has many. Chief Keef thing, the stuff he's saying is really dumb, but the rhymes were like, oh my god, like this took a lot of work. Like.
There's a guy on TikTok that I'll see every once in a while. I should probably just follow this guy at this point, but he breaks down rap songs.
Oh, cool.
And like he'll break down like, oh, so Kendrick Lamar said this. This is what he actually is meaning. And
yeah, because every Kendrick line you could analyze like for days. I was gonna throw him out there too as one of the like self-reinventing artists, just because like GNX, is it his best album? I would say no, but I also listen to it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And that's another album where, like, he pulled in people that had never heard Good Kid, Mad City before, which to me is like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I had the privilege of seeing him in May with SZA, which was, like, unreal.
Nice.
It was incredible. But tons of the fans there were, like, teenagers. I was thinking it'd be more like, we were all there for, like, Good Kid, Mad City, and we want to, like, see him like as a performer, and it was like these are people's first experience.
Yeah,
because there's that reinvention again.
Yeah,
I
think the Drake beef also helped.
Yeah, people like singing along to Not Like Us, and these are like 15-year-old like white kids at like US Bank Stadium, like whose mom drove them there.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't like sing along. Like I love his music so deeply. But I think he's another one where I'm sure that TikToker analyzing K. Dot is like.
Oh yeah, there's some good ones that he breaks down.
Do you have a good example? Like,
I wish I did.
It's probably something I've thought about before.
There's one, I think it's off of maybe Good Kid, but like there's a line where he says something numerically like 1 through 10, and just the way that he says it, like the guy, I can't remember how he breaks it down. I'll have to find it and just send it to you. But there's some good ones in there that he's broken down. And I think J. Cole's another good one that does that stuff. Like, there's so many good artists that are doing that, but it's just amazing how like rap always has this stigma as how bad it is. Yeah, there's some offensive things that get said, but the lyricism and just the thought behind a lot of that stuff that gets put together is just remarkable.
I think it's just conducive to like intricacy that you can't really pull off with. That is much harder to pull off if you're singing, I think. Just, you can shove more volume in there. You know what I mean? Like, just by volume, you can do more wordplay.
Yeah.
You know?
So good. I just now got to listen to GNX on the way to work tomorrow. Thank you for that.
Riding it. I listened to the first track like a lot.
It's such
like
a good starting track.
That and Reincarnated are like amazing pieces of writing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, I don't know if Reincarnated got like the attention that it deserved. Maybe it did because it's Kendrick, but I just like the first time I heard that one, I was like, that's really like, you got to think about it pretty hard. Like, that's like storytelling. And that's where he inhabits characters, right?
Yeah.
Like All Good Kid, Mad City, and then all these different sides of himself. We're going to have a Kendrick side podcast. But I just, Reincarnated is like, wow, he did that. Like, he's still on it. You know?
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah. Just red hot take, Kendrick Lamar is a good rapper.
Yeah,
Like,
put some respect on Kendrick Lamar's name.
yeah, he's not getting enough accreditation. We need 2 guys on a podcast explaining that GNX is a good album. But it is, though. Like,
you need 2 guys in Minnesota to tell people about GNX and how great it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be on the Patreon. We'll see.
Yeah.
But kind of roping back into everything. One, again, thank you for coming through. This has been a great time.
Yeah, agreed.
Honestly, feel free to come over anytime.
Just chill.
Yeah,
that's
chill.
What we should do.
Have a good time. If obviously you have a lot of music out, book out, but if anyone's looking for Zaq Baker merch, music, book, or Zaq Baker in general, how can they find it?
Yeah. I mean, Instagram's kind of my headquarters, if I'm being honest, just because it's like lively. Like, here's what I'm doing currently. I try to keep my website pretty up to date. It's just zaqbaker.com, ZAQ Baker. You know, that's what I always tell people. Those are good. I do have a mailing list. I don't use it maybe as much as I should, but usually when I'm dropping music, I'll like send emails out. Honestly, I kind of just want people to like read my book and listen to my music, you know. Streaming, Zaq Baker, that's where all my stuff is. I honestly don't print like records or anything. I don't really have like up-to-date CDs or LPs, and I know those things are like good, like a lot of people have them, but I just try to get people to stream the music, you know.
That's fair.
I don't care about much else. I just want them to like experience stuff I made.
Yeah.
You know.
If anyone's looking for a copy of Unspectacular, can they order it? Or I know in the Twin Cities you can pick up a copy in person somewhere.
Yeah. And so I did have to print them through Amazon, which like on principle I detest. Like, I boycott them as a person and have done so since 2013. So it's like I've used them as a printer. Mm-hmm. I think almost no people have bought it there by like my intention. Like a very small handful did last year. So if people want to buy one, I think it's a lot more fun. Like, I'll sign it at home and make it like a mail day. Mm-hmm. I did it a lot last year. So if people are listening and they want a book, I will super just like mail it to them. I'm super happy to.
Hell yeah.
It's fun. It's my excuse to like, I don't know. It makes like the post office like kind of sick. Like, I have to mail my book to people. Like,
right.
It's fun.
Yeah. But yeah, depending on where, you know, everyone found this episode, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, or you watch the YouTube version, you got to see Zach's lovely face like I did today. Make sure you check the hyperlinks down below. Go follow Zach on all the socials.
Do it.
Be sure to order a book if you haven't already. If you're in the Twin Cities, go get a book in person at some of the bookstores. I can't remember which ones all have it, but you have a list, I think, somewhere, right?
Yeah, actually the homepage of my website has all the bookstores.
Hell yeah.
It's most of the ones in the Twin Cities.
That's amazing.
I think. Yeah, well, it's like it's their job to build community.
Right.
And so, like, local authors are very, like, you'd be hard-pressed to find a bookstore that isn't like, oh my gosh, cool. Because at first I was like, are they going to care? And it's like, well, yeah. Like, bookstores are like a hub of, like, local creative stuff, so they want local.
Yeah. And I feel like I saw recently on, like, one of your stories, like, you just restock somewhere, so, like...
Yeah.
I know we're towards the tail end, but popped in my head, like, how what was that feeling like the first time you had to go restock somewhere because your book sold out of at the bookstore?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, it's usually because they'll take like 4 or 5 copies, so it's not.
But still, that's sold out.
It does feel. I think it's nice when someone must have picked it up and looked at it and bought it that isn't like my friend, you know, because you play shows and you're like, well, I know everybody here, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you reach people that are total strangers and you're like, okay, that's sort of in a way what I've always dreamed about, is like someone's just like book shopping and they actually think the premise is like kind of cool, or they flip through it or something. So it does feel nice. Yeah. I'm always playing catch up. And like, there's all this stuff I have to do. I have to make sure it shows up in the places it's supposed to show up.
Yeah. Well, congrats. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll get to see novel number 2 at some point in the future.
I'm cooking quietly. You know, I have had to try to set aside time to do it. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
But I'm actually cooking now. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone be ready for that when it drops. One last big thank you to Zaq for taking the time out of your Tuesday to sit down with me and talk about not only your music, but your novel as well.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's been good.
Yeah,
it's been good.
Everyone go follow Zaq, and I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See ya. Beers with Biz.